Let's jump back in. Let's do volume 16. We're getting so dig-dag-dumb close to the end of Hiveswap Friendsim. Volume 16 of Cult and Capped Evasion. You crash-landed on Alternia 16 long episodes ago, and sometimes you feel like you've been here forever. You've had many adventures and met many Alternians, and some/all/none of whom have become your friends. But now, for some reason, you have a hunch that you're near the end of your Alternian travels. For one thing, you seem to be coming to the edge of the populated region you've been walking through all the time you've been here. For another, the intense craving that has animated you through your journey feels like it might be waning. Oh, thanks for clipping that, Jello Player. It's not quite gone, but like a diner who stuffed himself to bursting but is still seeking that last sweet morsel that will make his meal complete, you're still on the prowl for the very sweetest morsel of friendship! Alright. I did click 16, right? Like I didn't accidentally click on volume 17. Actually, I'm just gonna back out and make sure, because I was thrown off by the, version there. Yes, volume 16. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got Fozzer and we've got Marvis. Okay, Marvis looks marvelous. Like a very like well-dressed, like formal Gamzee in a way. And then Fozzer, of course, is low on the hemo spectrum. So we've got like two ends of society happening here. Oh. This music also sounds really good. Haunting. This is... Ooh. Oh my goodness, is that a clarinet or an oboe? It's some warm reed instrument. Music. Graveyard Shift by James Roach. Okay. Alright. Oh my goodness, it has like that little X-Files whistle happening. A little bit in the background, I caught that. So this is like, got like a bit of an X-Files vibe going to this music. That's really cool. Okay, that's awesome. Alright, fabulous. Alright, here we go. The night has turned foggy, and you can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side by bare ground. Hummocked and pitted almost like a weird abstract sculpture and covered with greenish moss. Based on the experiences you've had with Alternian flora, you imagine that the moss is probably poisonous, acidic, explosive, or something of that nature. Suddenly, a shadow looms up out of the darkness, making you jump, but it's only a leaning signpost. As you move closer, you can see that the sign says, "Welcome to Happy Absence Pit Park." Nothing seems happy about this. This seems rather spooky, actually. Appropriate for the time of year. Gosh, that X-Files whistle, my god, that is so good the way it just like comes in. It's like, it's like on the periphery of the background, but like just enough so that it feels like it's intruding into the main narrative of the song, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does. I'm just saying words as they come to my brain, which I do from time to time. Before you can figure out what that might be, you hear a voice muttering to itself in the fog, and a sound like dirt being shoveled. Shovel, shovel, toil and trouble, low bloods of the world unite. You move cautiously toward the voice until the figure of a troll emerges from the fog. He seems to be digging in the hard, bare ground. The Halloween episode is 1 week early this year. There is a tide in the affairs of trolls which, taken at the flood, leads on to the workers' paradise. You clear your throat and the troll turns swiftly. Who's there? Who's there, I say? You announce soothingly that you're just a poor wayfaring stranger. Not a ghost or any nonsense like that? You confirm that you are not. Good. because I don't believe in them. I'm a dialectical materialist. Well, if you're not a ghost, who are you? You explain that you're a humble alien who recently, well, not so recently, landed, well, crashed, on Alternia, and who's been looking ever since for... Here you blushingly trail off into a mumble. The troll snorts and comes close to study you. His breath is not of the freshest. Oh, good. An alien? Well, you are the color of cheese. But it could be makeup. You could be a high blood in disguise, come to watch poor little Fozzer Velius pursuing his humble profession of pit perturber for some unknown reason of your own. Fozzer rubs at the exposed skin of your arm to see if the makeup will come off. It doesn't, but he's still suspicious. A real alien would know what outer space is like. Describe outer space to me. The M in MSPAR stands for mozzarella. Yes, actually, it's... MSPAR is really just short for mozzarella parmesan. What can I say? You describe attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion and watching sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. Oh my gosh, Tannhauser Gate. You express the belief that all these moments will not be lost in time, like tears and rain. Oh my god. Someone just described Blade Runner, basically. That's like one of the few things I do remember from watching Blade Runner, because I tried watching Blade Runner, and frankly, I fell asleep, so... These authentic depictions seem to satisfy Fozzer. He nods his head and seems to think. He doesn't appear to be a fast thinker. Finally, he seems to have an idea. Do the cheese entities where you come from have a strong consciousness of class struggle? You have no idea what he's talking about, but you were always good at guessing the right answer on multiple choice tests. You assure him that the people where you come from have such a strong consciousness of class struggle that they use it to jack up their cars when they get flat tires. A big smile overspreads Fozzer's face, and he pumps his fist in the air. By the way, speaking of class struggle, don't forget to vote. If you're in America and you have the ability to vote early, please do that, or go vote on election day. It's 10 days away. Actually, early voting started in New York today, and Manuel and I are both planning to go vote on Monday. We have been waiting weeks for this, so very excited to go vote. All right. Pleased to meet you, comrade alien. All power to the workers. I imagine that finding me performing the honest labor of the working class makes you feel right at home. You assure him that it does. I suppose that you wish you could share in the simple proletarian joys and sorrows of the Alternian oppressed classes. You're not sure what proletarian means, but sharing joys and sorrows sounds like a hopeful prelude to friendship, so you say that you were just thinking that you would like to share that kind of joys and sorrows. Easily done, comrade. Here, take the soil perturbation lance. Soil perturbation lance. Another fancy word for a simple thing. You can enter into solidarity with the Alternian working class right now. No, don't thank me. Freedom, brotherhood, and equality is my motto. Liberté, fraternité, egality. I forget the French word for equality, but anyway. Conduct your perturbations right here, if you please. He points to where he was shoveling, and you begin shoveling there too. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there. And before long, you're sweating profusely, but no exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. Egalite. Thank you, Bookworm. I appreciate that. My mother, who taught French for over 30 years, would be disappointed if she saw that I couldn't remember all three of those words. Fozzer watches you labor with brotherly satisfaction. Class solidarity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. So, just to pass the time while you labor in solidarity, what do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit from outer space? Alright, let's go ahead and save. We go with, you suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad, or it's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. Let's go with the first one. You suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. As a guest, it's only polite to say nice things about your host's home planet. Besides, meeting Fozzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So, with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a salutary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multi-dimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You are looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. But Fozzer doesn't look as pleased as you'd hoped. So, you find Alternia agrees with you? Oh yes, very much, you pant. You find it interesting and fascinating? Definitely. To you, the spectacle of those who happen to have been born with certain blood colors, exploiting and oppressing those who have not, is just a picturesque detail. Well, you wouldn't go as far as to. You find nothing objectionable in a society where the strong kill the weak at will, based on nothing more than the color of a bodily fluid? Where the upper classes see the lower as little more than inanimate objects whose only purpose it is to serve them? Where the whole corrupt society is structured solely to breed cannon fodder for a psychotic empress's mad plan to conquer the entire galaxy, more peoples to oppress? That certainly wasn't what you. While the streets run with rust, orange, and gold blood, and you stand unconcernedly and remark how interesting and fascinating Alternia is. While the fish people and their bluish lackeys strike the pap from the mouths of low-blood wrigglers, you smile pleasantly and remark how unusual Alternia is. Certainly not, but one can't judge others' cultures by one's own. Oh, you can't dodge your class responsibility that way, you cur! You so-called intellectuals try to hide your fawning servility to the bosses by pretending to view society objectively, without moral judgments, when all the time you're simply crypto-imperialist lapdogs. And you come to the happy absence pit park pretending solidarity with the oppressed. Pshaw! I see now that you're nothing but a catspaw of the oppressor class. Nothing but a cheese-colored Judas Iscariot sent as a spy, traitor, bootlicker, sycophant, murderer, monopolist, profiteer, slave trader, cannibal, parasite, technocrat, gangster, ectoplasm. Oh god. No, you try to object, but Fozzer seizes the shovel from you and turns away. Turncoat, knock, double-crosser, weasel, hijacker, vulture, Visigoth, breathalyzer. Breathalyzer? My goodness. You watch his back recede into the fog, your heart sinking with the wreck of your hopes and dreams for friendship. Game over. He seized the means of productions back from you. Like we're on our hands, on our knees, like, no, come back. I beg of you. Alright, so clearly, what we need to do is say that it's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. So you take a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but that, in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made some/many/no friends here. Oh my god. And I love that line right there. That's another clue that we are in fact experiencing all realities and timelines at once. Or at least we are experiencing all of them in some form or another. You've made some/many/no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, often here on Alternia, you've felt that you've been locked in a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. As you've talked, you've been watching Fozzer anxiously for signs of anger. You're surprised to see that, instead, he seems to be loving it. And what about our political system? You've already put your foot in it, so you go ahead and put the other one in too. You express the opinion that a violent, rigidly stratified insectile social structure created solely to generate soldiers for a mad project to conquer the entire galaxy might raise eyebrows in some quarters. You admire natural selection and survival of the fittest as much as the next person, but this is overkill on a titanic scale. Toto! Happy Saturday, welcome in, thank you for dropping in. I hope you are enjoying your weekend, and I gotta say, I have been loving how you've just been killing it with Inktober and posting all those things in Discord. Like, good job. Well done. Very impressed. All right. As you've been speaking, Fozzer's smile has grown wider, and he's shown other signs of approval, such as jumping up and down and whirling around. He pumps his fist in the air. Forward to perfect socialism! It's so good to talk with someone who hasn't been hypnotized from Wrigglerhood with counter-revolutionary pap. Someone who sees conditions on Alternia for what they really are, who sees the evil of the High Bloods. Someone who will march in the vanguard of the workers' revolution to face unflinchingly the onslaught of the aristocracy, perhaps, nay, probably, to die in a hail of bullets, but never turn their back on the people. It is Saturday, Cello. It is, in fact, completely 100% Saturday, for real. Saturday in the park. I think it was the 4th of July. Oh, let me embrace you, comrade alien. He does so. He's oily, and he smells like mossy soil and pore ooze, but this does not dampen your spirits. What better preamble for making a suggestion of friendship? Agreeing with people about politics never fails to bring friendship closer. But before you can bring it up, Fozzer, having at first kissed you on both cheeks, continues. I kind of wonder if I should be giving Fozzer, like, some kind of accent, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that. But we mustn't allow our celebration of the People's Revolution to interfere with the honest labor that ennobles us. I'm holding you back from your tickets to the workers' paradise. Please, proceed with your soil perturbation. All power to the people. Death to arbitrary hemospectral discrimination. Forward, comrade! Yo, how's it going, Yum? Was AFK what has happened so far? So we've gotten one bad ending for Fozzer so far. We have another bad ending and a good ending to get to. Excuse me. He waves his hand with a flourish and you start digging again. You wonder if it would be just as revolutionary if you traded places so Fozzer could do the digging and you could do the speechifying, but you don't wish to disturb the perfect harmony now existing between the two of you. I bet he was written with a Russian accent in mind, but please don't. Yes, I will not, Don Barony. I will not do that. Not yet, Yum, but we're getting there. All right, Toto, thanks for dropping by. Enjoy food. Instead, you use your little available breath to inquire what all the soil perturbation is in aid of. Why, a coal pit, of course. Didn't you see the sign? This is the Happy Absence Pit Park, Fozzer Velia's proprietor. Alternia's reactionary tradition is just to put dig coal pits. Wait. Alternia's reactionary tradition is just to dig coal pits anywhere without a second thought, but our revolutionary future demands that we have more respect for the dead. So, I've created this wonderful innovation, the Pit Park. There's a clown concert being held not far from here, so I anticipate a brisk demand shortly. Best to be ready for these things. Having a lot of dead clowns lying around, rotting on the property, is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Get them underground pronto is our motto here at Happy Absence Pit Park. You're wondering privately whether a little class solidarity couldn't be extended to Purple Bloods, remembering your dear friend Karako Pierrot, when Fozzer seems to give a jump. No, that is not ghosts. Grateful for an excuse to stop digging, you turn to look in the direction Fozzer is staring, leaning on your soil perturbation lance. You don't see anything but fog. You ask what is not ghosts. Nothing is. I'm a dialectical materialist, and if any ghosts come around the Happy Absence Pit Park, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else. You confess that you don't see anything but foggy darkness and humped and pitted ground, where you now guess piles of cold Alternians' exoskeletons are buried in the coal pits. You don't see any ghosts because there's no such thing, but the past few nights, I thought I saw beams of light shining up out of the ground. Almost as if, metaphorically of course, some of the exoskeletons in the coal pit had gotten hold of some flashlights and were shining them up through chinks in the soil. Look, there it is again! Alright, Cello, thank you so much for redeeming the Papyrus Pokemon parody, and for letting us all bask in that. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you around. Take care. Get lots done. This time you see it. A column of light that flashes up through the fog and is gone, seeming to come from a crack in the ground, which it briefly illuminates in blinding white. Fascinated, you move toward the crack, which is now dark and invisible again. What are you doing? You look at Fozzer in surprise. He seems terrified. You ask tactfully whether he doesn't think you ought to see what that is. For example, it could be some infrastructure malfunction that could blow the Happy Absence Pit Park and all its inhabitants, living and dead, sky high. You're not even sure they have infrastructure in Alternia, but one can't be too careful. Well, maybe you're right. We are fearless revolutionary cadres after all. You can hear his teeth chattering. You move toward where you think the flash came from. Fozzer close behind you, peering over your shoulder. You can't help wondering where he'll be when the vanguard of his revolution is braving hails of bullets. You very much hope that his revolution, if it ever comes, won't happen while you're around. Ooh. Just then a whole series of lights flash silently up from the ground, making columns through the fog. Fozzer jumps and howls behind you. Non-existent! You tell him there's undoubtedly a logical explanation, though you have to admit that you had a weird feeling just now when the lights appeared, like a momentary dizziness or feeling of discontinuity. But you're more curious than ever now, murmuring comforting things to Fozzer. You start digging right around where the lights you just saw came from. Then it's weird. Because you break through some kind of thin crust, as if the soil in that particular place is just a few inches thick over a brittle surface that your shovel goes right through like old pottery. You wonder whether you've inadvertently dug into an old coal pit, but what would bright light be doing coming out of an old coal pit? And in some way, it doesn't feel like a coal pit. It feels like something metaphysical, like reality itself is particularly thin right in that spot, and you've broken through the very fabric of it with your soil perturbation lance. You dig around the edges of the hole, enlarging it until it's about a foot wide. The darkness within makes the darkness of the Alternian night seem bright by comparison. It's so dark that the soil falling into it, and the part of your soil perturbation lance poking into it, seem to vanish completely, as if on the other side of that hole, reality itself gives out. You and Fozzer stare curiously down into this hole. Suddenly, a blinding but strangely blank light bursts up out of the hole into your faces. And at the same time, there's a deafening sound which seems to vibrate the very framework of reality, like a gigantic needle scratching a gigantic record. Is this like referencing The Scratch? Are we in Homestuck Act 5, Act 2? You're standing in the foggy night holding a soil perturbation lance that's been handed to you by Fozzer Velius. He points to where he's just been digging, and you begin digging in the same place. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there, and before long you're sweating profusely. Holy crap, did we just get like sent back a little bit? Wait. Now I'm starting to wonder if like... we should call a Scratch Doctor. Oh my god. Like, knowing Homestuck, that is like the biggest like reference to time shenanigans happening here. MSBR, the Scratch the Universe? Oh my god. Did we just scratch the universe? And before long you're sweating profusely. But you feel strange, like you were just standing somewhere else, doing something else, seeing something else. The after images of a blinding light and deafening sound seem to linger in your eyes and ears, but around you is nothing but dark fog and bare ground, humped and pitted. You must have had a dizzy spell. You shake it off and begin perturbing the soil. No exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship, after all. Fozzer watches you with satisfaction. Why use magic needles when you have a shovel, right? Honest work is a wonderful thing. All hail the old regime, eh? You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. We've heard this before. What do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit? Oh, wow. Okay, I'm gonna save in like a different slot just in case, but this is interesting. I wonder... Okay, here's what I wonder. I actually wonder if we pick the second option, are we just stuck in a loop where we keep coming back here? And if we pick the first option, what happens? Does it go differently? Let's go with the first option here. As a guest, it's only polite to say nice things about your host's home planet. Besides, meeting Fozzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces salutary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multidimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You're looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. Holy butts, he's actually happy about this now. What is going on? What? As you're speaking, a satisfied smile overspreads Fozzer's face. I'm glad you recognize the nobility of our ancient society, with its orderly hierarchy and naturally evolved degrees of privilege reflecting naturally evolved degrees of ability. What? You're pleased that your words have met with approval, but you're still a little troubled. You have an odd deja vu sensation that this whole exchange could have gone quite differently, maybe even did go differently sometime in the past or in some parallel universe. God, did we just dig through the multiverse? What is happening? Like, things are more overtly broken now. You inquire timidly whether the total domination of the lower bloods by the higher on Alternia doesn't sometimes feel like oppression. Never! I myself am only a rust blood, so I lack the privileges of the higher bloods. But the most important thing for a society is that everyone should be in their appointed place and do the things they're suited for. If all the passengers in a rowboat keep their seats and row in the same direction, the boat will quickly reach its destination. But If all the passengers all jump up and start running around and grabbing the other's oars, the boat will capsize and all will be lost. You remark diplomatically that Alternia isn't a rowboat rowing toward a destination. You're wrong! A planet is very much like a rowboat advancing through the black water of space. And as for our destination, all of us on Alternia aim at but a single goal every hour of every day. To serve her most high imperial condescension in conquering her glorious galaxy-wide empire. Long live the Empress! Guess there was a beat mesa buried in this graveyard, right? Well, you suppose the sense of being part of something larger than yourself makes up for a lot. It does! And naturally evolved systems are almost always more robust than artificially designed ones. They are! And it's true that Alternia's social structure does bring some semblance of order to a collection of 12 disparate troll subtypes. It is! Fozzer beams at you fondly. There's nothing that warms the heart like someone who thinks you're right about everything. It's so wonderful to find someone, even someone who looks like a piece of cheese, who is so intelligent and understands solid society and politics so perfectly. Finally, a true friend. We just made another friend. Victory! Boom. I don't trust this ending, though. I don't trust this at all. That was weird. Alright. Yay? Perhaps? Alright. Let's go with it's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. The truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. You take a deep breath and say that you hope that you won't give offense, but in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made some/many/no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, sometimes here in Alternia, you felt that you've been locked into a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. No doubt you could have anticipated that blunt honesty like this would give offense, and indeed it seems to have done so. As you finish your remarks, Fozzer is frowning darkly. So you've come to Alternia as an uninvited guest only to criticize and judge our civilization, eh? No. You know enough about our society, our billions of years of evolution, and our painstaking rise from mud-dwelling insectile ancestors, the political and sociological theories of our statesmen, philosophers, and scientists to make those judgments, do you? Well, no doubt you've done studies establishing what would happen if the hemospectrum groups were placed in different relations to one another. If, for example, rust bloods were the highest group and fuchsia bloods the lowest. Well, no, but I suppose your planet is so similar to Alternia that you have a firm basis on which to apply your preconceptions to us? Not at all, and surely your aliens are similar enough biologically and physiologically to trolls to know how we feel about our own society? I thought not. I guessed from the very first that you were nothing but a dilettante foul socialist pseudo-intellectual spouting your ivory tower theories without the least idea what you were talking about. Well, smarty pants alien, I suggest that you take your cheese-like person and your theories home to your own planet. It won't be long before her most high imperial condescension conquers your arm of the galaxy so that we Alternians can return the favor by standing in judgment of your society and politics. In the meantime, I bid you good Sidereal. And with that, Fozzer seizes his soil perturbation lance, as well as your hopes and dreams, and stalks off into the foggy night. Yes, good question, non-binary. This is like the most intriguing volume so far. What did we just experience? Like, there are definite time shenanigans happening now, for sure. It is perplexing. Perplexing indeed. But again, like, we've been suspecting for the last few volumes that there's been time shenanigans happening, and that canonically, the protagonist is experiencing all of the possible outcomes in some order or another, or perhaps simultaneously. And now we have something that happened that is like very much like the scratch in Homestuck, where suddenly like things just got like reset somehow and things are very different. We've jumped so many universes. I have expected to see a true Lime Blood troll next. Oh my gosh.